Impossible! William, that can't be done. Switch the medicine with that. I only heard a whisper, but it was unmistakably William's voice. I'm sorry, Linda. Actually. The next day, Mary confessed something to me. I was shocked and at the same time, resolved. I must protect Mary at all costs. And William, I will never forgive you. My name is Linda. A 55-year-old housewife. Recently, my only son John got married, and I felt at ease. My husband William and I are the same age. Guess we need to start thinking about our retirement, huh? We would laugh about it. John used to live alone in an apartment about a 5-minute drive from our house. It was a studio apartment. So, after getting married, the newlyweds moved to a bigger apartment. Their new place was even closer to us, just a 10-minute walk away. William and I thought, it's comforting to have John so close. But I felt a bit uneasy. Being so close to the house means we need to be careful not to overstep boundaries. I was warned by a friend before. At this age, most of my friends have become mother-in-laws just like me. And from them, I got various pieces of advice. The most shocking was about sons' wives. People have two sides. Just because she smiles in front of you doesn't mean she's happy. My friend said in a serious voice. In essence, don't be fooled by the superficial smiles of sons' wives. No one wants to doubt the smiling face of their son's wife. But my friend's words were convincing. In fact, this friend got along well with her daughter-in-law, meeting up frequently. She was like a real daughter to me, she'd often say. However, it turned out the daughter-in-law had been forcing herself to accommodate herself to her mother-in-law. One day, her pent-up frustrations exploded, and she got angry. They almost broke off their relationship, but somehow they managed to calm things down. At the end of the day, we're strangers. A proper distance is crucial. I remember the tired sigh and the lonely look on my friend's face. Mary, who married John, is a really nice girl. Always smiling and great at listening to others. Truly adorable. I wondered how such a nice girl ended up marrying John. When I visited the apartment, Mary greeted me with a smile. Furthermore, feel free to visit anytime, she said. I want to believe there's no lie in her words or smile. But taking everything she says at face value and imposing could be dangerous. To get along with a son's wife, such caution is necessary. By being cautious, we maintained a good relationship. We meet only when invited by the couple. We also refrain from contacting them unless necessary. It feels a bit lonely, but thanks to this, we've been able to get along without any issues. However, one day, when my son and his wife came to visit, they made a surprising request. Excuse me? What did you say? I asked again, and John repeated the same words. That's right, I've been assigned to work overseas, so we want Mary to stay here with you. John had been on business trips abroad before. But this was his first long-term assignment. Upon asking, it turns out the duration is at least 2 years. And it might extend beyond that. 2 years? Is it okay for a couple to be apart for so long? Wouldn't it be better for Mary to go with you? Mary has her job, and I'll be busy abroad. It's safer for her to live with you guys than alone in a foreign country. John looked to Mary for consent, and Mary nodded with a smile. Really? We don't mind, but if we can support our son and his wife, that would be wonderful. But, is this really what Mary wants? Living with us, the in-laws, might be less comfortable for her than following John abroad. If Mary's parents were around, maybe she could have relied on them, but both of Mary's parents have passed away. But why can't she just live on her own? The apartment is close, and of course, we'd be happy to help if anything happens. There's no need to live together unnecessarily. Thinking it would be better for Mary, I suggested this to the couple. But, for some reason, that won't work. Mary immediately said. Mary has some bad memories from the past, and she can't live alone. Mary nodded. Is that so? I'm sorry for not knowing. No, it's fine. Then, living together might be the only option. At that moment, William, who had been silently observing, said, "If that's the case, she should stay with us. There's no need to hesitate. Mary is our daughter now." William smiled at the couple. "Besides," he added, "I often come home late from work. It'd be better for Linda to have Mary around than to be alone." True, William doesn't start work early, but he often comes home late. It's reassuring not to be alone at such times. Yes, if Mary is okay with it, let's live together happily. Indeed, there are benefits to living together. Not only drawbacks. And unlike me, a housewife, Mary has a job. We won't always be together. Maybe we could make it work. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Us too. And so, Mary began living with us. I was nervous about living together, but Mary was indeed a good person. "Linda, good morning. Would you like to join me for breakfast?" When I woke up, there were delicious-looking scrambled eggs, sausages, and soup on the table. "Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to have someone cook for me, it's never happened before. But, it must have been a lot of work." "No, I was making some for myself anyway. I hope it's good." "Let's eat." "Yes, it's delicious." "I'm glad. Mary has a job, so I did most of the housework. But Mary never dumped everything on me. Instead, she actively helped with the chores. John really has an eye for people. Marrying someone as wonderful as Mary, he's a lucky guy." I looked to William for confirmation. Indeed. And he smiled. Living together seemed problem-free. However, about a month into our living together, I noticed a change in Mary. She still did housework between her job duties but started to stay in her room unusually often. After meals, she'd head straight to her room and not come out until morning. Even in the morning, she used to have breakfast with us, but now she'd leave for work before we even woke up. Did I do something to make her dislike me? It's lonely. I told this to William, who returned home late. Are you thinking too much? Mary might just want some alone time. That may be true, but I feel like she's avoiding us. Living together with us. Mary has to be considerate of us every day. Maybe she's tired of it. As I pondered, William patted my shoulder. Don't be too anxious. It's bad for your health. Don't fall sick again. I had previously been hospitalized for a stroke. Remembering that, William looked worried and stroked my back. I'm fine. I'm taking my medication properly. But maybe I am overthinking it. After that, Mary avoided me even more, but I tried not to mind it. Weekdays were okay, but weekends were hard. On weekends, William would go out alone. So, I often went out with Mary. Even if we didn't go out, we chatted at home while eating snacks and spending time together. But recently, Mary would refuse even if I invited her. Moreover, she started going out every weekend. Are you going out now? I casually asked Mary as she was heading to the entrance. Mary looked puzzled and said, "This has nothing to do with you. Please leave me alone." Then Mary hurried out of the house. I understood she was rejecting me. Having been close at first, I was more shocked than I imagined. Since then, I've also started avoiding Mary somehow. Will things stay this way until John returns from abroad? Maybe it would be better for both of us to stop living together now. I wanted to talk to William, but, as luck would have it, he was not around. William had been away on a business trip for 2 weeks. The weekends were painful for me, so I tried to go out as much as possible. I didn't want to run into Mary. When I got home, I could hear Mary's voice coming from her room. It sounded like she was talking to someone. Since Mary wouldn't invite guests over without telling me, she must be on the phone. I'm home. I called out and approached her room. As I was about to quietly open the door, I realized Mary was on a call. She was indeed on the phone. Convinced, I thought not to disturb her call and was about to leave, when Mary raised her voice. "It's impossible, William. I can't do that." I definitely heard William's name. William was supposed to be on a business trip. It seemed unlikely he would contact Mary from there. Yet, I heard Mary continue. "William, that's why I can't," I heard Mary say. I approached Mary's room again, trying to listen. I could hear Mary's voice, but not the person on the other end. I couldn't tell if it was William nor understand the conversation. Feeling frustrated, I couldn't leave or interrupt. I just stood there. Meanwhile, Mary seemed troubled on the phone, repeatedly saying, "That's why it's impossible," she said over and over. Was William asking her for something? Maybe I should help. But she'll find out I was eavesdropping. It might worsen our already strained relationship. Yet, it's sad to think our relationship could get any worse. As I was pondering this, Mary cried out in distress. Almost simultaneously, I heard something fall. Soon after, William's low voice filled the room. "Switch the medicine with that." Perhaps Mary dropped her smartphone, causing it to switch to speaker mode. Mary must have quickly picked up the phone and switched it off speaker because William's voice disappeared, and only Mary's voice was audible again. After that, "I understand," Mary said, then fell silent. She must have ended the call. I took a deep breath, quietly returned to the entrance. And after composing myself, "I'm home," I called out to Mary again. "Ah, welcome back." Mary came out of her room, her face tense. There was no way I could question her about the phone call. Mary went back to her room with a troubled look. Who was William talking about? Most of all, the words about switching the medication with that stayed in my mind. I thought about asking Mary several times but didn't have the courage to do so. Had William and Mary been in contact without my knowledge all this time? William's tone during that moment was far from his usual demeanor. Such a commanding tone, not just towards Mary, but he wouldn't even use it with me. What if Mary was betraying me? Or, what if William was threatening Mary? I couldn't sleep that night. The next day, rubbing my sleepy eyes, I was drinking water in the kitchen when Mary woke up. "Good morning, Mary." My voice was hoarse from lack of sleep. But Mary's voice sounded even less energetic. "Good morning," she said, looking down, in a barely audible voice. "Mary, you seem down. What's wrong?" Could it be related to yesterday's phone call? Concerned, I looked at Mary and was shocked. Mary's eyes were swollen. Her cheeks were wet with tears, and tears were still overflowing from her eyes. "Mary, what's wrong? Are you okay?" Instinctively grabbing her hand, Mary grasped mine back. "I'm sorry, Linda. Actually." Mary then explained something to me while crying. It was unbelievably shocking. I didn't know how to react after hearing everything. Stunned by Mary's sudden confession, my mind went blank. Mary cried in front of me again. "I'm sorry. Linda, I'm sorry." Mary kept apologizing. I hugged Mary. "What are you talking about? It's all William's fault, not yours." I tried to soothe her, but Mary's tears wouldn't stop. Hoping to calm her down, I gently stroked her back. "I'm sorry. It's my fault for keeping silent." "It's not your fault. Everyone has things they can't share. Besides, if John is okay with it, then neither William nor I should interfere in a couple's matters." Saying this out loud helped her cool down gradually. And then, anger towards William started to rise. How many years has it been since William and I got married? We've had our fights and even discussed separation. But, I had always intended to spend the rest of my life with William. Never did I imagine he would be plotting such things behind my back. After a while, when Mary seemed to have calmed down, we decided to discuss what to do next. First, we should contact John before William returns from his business trip. For Mary, she thought, "I don't want to interfere with his work. But that's not right. He would consider you more important than his job. How would John feel if he found out you've been struggling like this? After hearing this, Mary silently agreed. We tried contacting John, but couldn't reach him. Maybe he was busy with work or asleep. We decided to leave a message summarizing the situation and asking him to call us when he has time. 2 days later, William returned from his business trip. I'm exhausted," he repeated, handing me his bag and jacket. I took them, saying, "Welcome back," without really meaning it. Entering the living room, William looked around. "What's wrong?" I asked, and William replied, "Just wondering where Mary is." Scanning the room again. "Oh, I sent her out for some shopping." "Did you need her for something?" I said with a forced smile, and William replied, "No, not really," averting his gaze. While William showered, I prepared the documents on the table. The thought of showing them to William filled me with mixed emotions. After decades of marriage, I never wanted to use such papers. But knowing the truth, I could no longer envision a future with him. William came out of the shower, looking satisfied, and sat down with a towel around his neck. Normally, he would finish off a beer already set out for him. But noticing the absence of beer, he squinted at me questioningly. "Hey, where's the beer?" "There's no beer today. Look at this instead," I urged, and William, looking at the papers on the table, was shocked. "What's this?" he said angrily, staring at the table. I clenched my fist and said, "These are divorce papers. Please, let's get divorced." "Huh?" William shifted his gaze from the divorce papers to me. "Divorce? Why?" I sensed more anger than confusion in William's voice and expression. "Why does someone like me have to be told by you to divorce?" I can almost hear him saying that. "It seems like you wanted a divorce, right?" William looked surprised. "No, I never, that." I couldn't help but laugh. "What's so funny?" "Because you're so flustered." "Oh right, you didn't want a divorce, you wanted to remarry." William remained silent, looking troubled. I know everything. Your affair with another woman, trying to make me take medication to be with her, and what I can't forgive the most is that you threatened Mary." William turned pale and started to sweat. With that face. "It's not true, that's not it." He kept repeating excuses. "Whatever you say is pointless. I heard everything from Mary." "Mary, that bastard." Mary had debts before getting married. It seems William found out when she was talking to John about it on the phone. The reason she couldn't live alone was because she wanted to use the rent money to repay the debt. Knowing she had no money, William must have thought he had the upper hand. He had Mary doing menial tasks behind my back. Mary, afraid of being thrown out, couldn't stand up to William. Apparently, Mary was keeping an eye on William every time she had a day off to break free from him. That's when she witnessed William cheating. When she confronted him, "Linda will be the one who's sad," he brazenly responded. And then, brazenly, since it was out in the open, William ordered Mary to switch my medication. "So, you thought of getting rid of me because I was in your way?" Yes, shockingly, the person William was talking about over the phone was me. Having had a stroke before, there's a medication I must take daily. Without it, I'm prone to blood clots, and unluckily, it could be fatal. William was planning to swap my medication with something else. Of all things, to swap it with a vitamin pill, huh? For most people, it's just a supplement, but for me, it's poison. Depending on the type of vitamin, it could increase the risk of blood clots. In other words, William was after my life. "Anyway, I can no longer stay with you. Please, let's get a divorce. We'll discuss the money for the divorce proceedings through a lawyer later." William looked frustrated and then turned his gaze to Mary, who returned. "Mary, how dare you do this? You know what will happen, right?" Mary showed a momentary look of fear, but when I took her hand, she glared back at William. "I know. It's okay now. I have Linda. What? Getting cocky, aren't you? William seemed ready to pounce at any moment. But just then, there was a noise from the entrance, and John appeared. Are you okay? John stood in front of William, shielding Mary. John, why are you here? I got a call from Mom and rushed back from overseas. Dad, I'm disappointed. What have you done? At first, I just wanted to exploit a weakness and leave. But then, I needed money. Either way, it's despicable. I don't want to see your face anymore. Just leave. Wait. Are you okay with this, Linda? Saying such things. You're a housewife without an income. You won't be able to live. Don't worry. I'll get the money for the divorce proceedings from you. Besides, this house was inherited from my parents, so don't act so high and mighty. William was still saying something so arrogant, but... I'll call the police, I said, and he left. Afterward, William and I divorced. William had been secretly supporting his mistress, and some savings had been spent. I feel like I understand why he needed money. As a substitute for the money for the divorce proceedings, I took all his remaining savings. William's life from here on is on zero savings. Relationships broken off by his son, it's going to be quite hard. Whether his mistress will stick with him through this kind of life is questionable, but I couldn't care less. John went back to work the day after everything was settled. Mary and I are still living together. I repaid Mary's debts with the money I got from William. My son and his wife wanted to repay it themselves, but considering the interest rate, it seemed wasteful. Since it was William's money anyway, I wanted to use it up quickly. The regular meals between my son's wife and I are now my greatest joy. We want to keep getting along well until John returns home.